minutes for December 10th.
Motion.
So moved and seconded, all in favor, signify by aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have new business. First up, we have zoning case ZC-19-059, which is a zoning map amendment from R1 to I1 in Homer Township, commonly known as 14409 South Archer Avenue, Lockport, Illinois, County Board District Number 7.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Zoning case ZC 19-059. I do want to advise the committee that the attorney and applicant are not in attendance to this morning's meeting. Staff has not had previous communication with the attorney that this would be the case. In previous.
Did I read this wrong? The first case, right? 059?
Correct.
And you're saying the attorney is not? Because I see Mr. Kavanaugh sitting there, so.
That is correct. Mr. Kavanaugh is not representing this client.
All right, well, I think we can, they didn't give notice, and I think we can proceed, so.
Okay.
I have no problem. Does anybody have a problem with that?
Yeah, I lived there.
Let me get your mic in.
I lived there. And I was at the township meeting, and the people at the township meeting were very upset about passing this. And I guess the townships can't force a 2/3 vote anymore. Is that true?
Correct.
When did that happen? I thought they could do that.
Pursuant to state law, only municipalities within a mile and a half can legally record
Right, I
a legal
mean,
objection.
wasn't that, I thought in the past that we had objections by townships and forced a 2/3 vote.
David?
Townships could object to special use permits where other guys cannot. They're trying to change that.
David.
Any township with authority with regard to legally effectiveness of the vote changed when the last census when the numbers of population question.
Okay.
Claire, ask your question.
Yeah, but I just want to point out that people in the town have numerous problems over and over again with this. With the guy that owns it, there's no way in hell that we should be voting to approve it.
Well,
I mean, I don't know who came and complained or anything, but, I'm dead against it. And I think that, if we're going to do anything on it, you should listen to people that live there.
Well, that's what I was making sure the committee was okay with moving forward.
I'm okay with killing it or something.
So one of my concerns is, and first of all, thank you for the 5 different maps showing that you guys want to move this forward. I hear that loud and clear, and I really appreciate that. But one of my concerns is the forward thinking of this. There's a whole row of residents behind this property, and the 2 of the aspects are industrial. I think it's a stretch to say that entire area is industrial. I saw that the mixed use was on the map. But my concern is that, we give him the rest of the property to be industrial, and then a year from now, he sells the property, and now the entire corner lot there can have a giant warehouse right behind people's yards. And it's not that this doesn't happen. Check out Romeoville and Bluff Road. Check out most of the area of Romeoville, where they put warehouses right up behind people's homes. And so, it is mixed use, but that's going to be a large property then for industrial use, which doesn't stop them later in a year from now, or 2 years from now, or 5 years from putting up something that the residents don't want there. And once it's zoned that, what legal standing do you have then? So I have concerns about this. I mean, I'm with Steve on this. Right now, it doesn't look like this is the best spot, but I don't know what the intentions of this homeowner is, and I know that we can't always make a decision based on who's there now versus who's there in the future. So I think that we need to take a little time really considering is, what the residents have to say. But if they're not here, we haven't received any.
The residents are here, the attorney is not here, and they did not get notice, so my opinion is that we just keep going since they didn't give notice, and, maybe when the meeting was, so you can give your
Summary?
Your summary, and then we'll have the public. Well, there's a lot of people signed up.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yep.
So zoning case CC 19059 involves a 2.75 acre split zone parcel where the front portion of the property is zoned I-1 along Archer Avenue, and the rear 1.45 acres is zoned R1. This split zoning has existed since the county's comprehensive rezoning in 1978. Since the county no longer split zones parcels, basically we also encourage any split zone parcels that are in existence to either go through a split zone determination to decide which zoning district is the prevalent zoning district for that, or to rezone the portion, if they can find a legal description, to rezone under a single zoning district. A brief history of this particular property in this area: the applicant owns the two adjacent parcels directly southwest of the property and operates a construction services business. The applicant recently purchased the subject parcel and began storing construction equipment on the parcel. Again, it's split zone I-1, R1. Since the R1 portion started to have construction equipment, a complaint was received at our office, investigated, and a violation was issued for outdoor storage without a principal structure on this parcel. Part of the remedy when the applicant came in to meet with staff was to pursue a rezoning for the R1 portion so that the parcel could become a single zoning lot, so entirely I-1 if the county board approved, allowing the applicant to then potentially consolidate the rest of the parcels into a single lot. With that, there would have to be, further site development requirements, outdoor screening, land use buffers along any residential uses or residentially zoned properties. The R1 portion of the subject site is located, as you see in the maps, along West 144th Place, which abuts the 4A Unit 7 subdivision that was spent back in the 50s, so the whole subdivision. Staff finds that R1 is not appropriate within this corridor between Archer and north of 144th Place, just because of the egress would be difficult with the floodplain, as well as just the development and recent zoning action within the area has been more commercial or industrial requests. In terms of the I-1 properties to the southwest, the most recent was in 2014 when they rezoned from R1 to I-1. PCC first heard the case back in November, and the attorneys requested it to be tabled and continued. Objectors have been present for all the public zoning meetings, and you have received several memos containing further email objections, an objection from Homer Township, as well as some clarifications from the staff report. In terms of planning and zoning, this past week, they've voted unanimously to deny the request for the map amendment. And with that, I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
Questions from committee members? Jackie?
If I understood what you're saying, we're the ones that are basically pushing the issue of making this one lot all one zone. That's our rules.
In terms
as a
to
county.
rectify the split zoning,
Yeah, we want to eliminate split zoning.
correct.
Other questions from Rachel?
Okay, I'm going to present something and we can talk about later in business, but some of these cases fall into this. Is there an ability for us to make like an I-3 or I-4 that allows for businesses like this and some of these other ones that we've seen function in a way that is great for their capacity, but then they later can't sell it off and become a warehouse that would have to be I-1 zoning? I mean, is that something that we can consider as a committee to create?
Who wants to take that one?
Not me.
So, did you guys hear the question?
I was going to say, I think this is more of a legal opinion if we're able to do something like this, so.
Sorry, David and I were.
Yeah, so, go ahead, Rachel.
I was just saying that some of these cases have started popping up where there are businesses that are trying to do their business, but in order to do so, they need to be an I-1. But our fear as a county is that I-1 allows them to then later sell the property and put a warehouse up, which the residents would not want. So is there a way to create a category like an I-3 or an I-4 that would allow them to do the business that they need to do on this property, but then if they sold the land later, it could only be a similar business like this that operated there.
Once the zoning has been changed, zoning's changed. So,
I understand that. I'm saying creating a new category so that it would operate, this business could operate in its entirety. So if it was an I-3, for example, and then they could do the same business they're operating today, right? But then later they couldn't sell that land off and it'd be an I-1. That entity would then,
No, because that just goes back to what I said. Once you change the zoning, you create a new one, an I-3, you can't limit the business and stuff behind it. If it's allowed in that particular zoning, it's allowed in that zoning.
no, but right now we're just allowed on I-1. So what I'm saying is if it's I-3, then they would have to rezone it to I-1 if that was the case, and we'd have to go back through this board to do so.
Yeah, I'm not sure I fully understand your question, because this is what I'm hearing, that you're saying create a new zoning, for example, and then in that new zoning, if they go pursue that particular zoning, to then say you can only do X for yourself.
No, type of businesses like this, like we've seen landscaping businesses like this, we've seen, some of these mini truck terminal type things where they're bringing in things that are like the truck part that we had a little while ago, where they're not full-on warehouses, they're not full-on industrial the way that many of us think of industrial. They're mom-and-pop businesses that are operating under kind of archaic laws at this point because we haven't updated, the uses of some of these. So what I'm saying is create a category that encompasses all of these types of businesses.
It sounds like you're not talking about I think it's more like a particular use within that zoning. So you want to exclude a particular use within that zoning. Is that what you're saying? Because I don't know how you could.
Well, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know how to explain this any better. I'm trying to find a compromise between having businesses within our community still be able to be there without impacting people's lives. You put a giant warehouse in the back of my house, it's going to impact my life.
Sure.
If a truck guy is coming in and dropping parts off here and there, it doesn't impact it as much. Maybe it impacts the roadway, in which case we can make certain qualifications for that, or the highway commissioner can, right? But it's different. There's trees all around it, and they're minding their own business and doing their job and keeping the noise down, versus, there's a plethora of industrial work. And so what I'm saying is, perhaps it's time that we categorize what that industrial work looks like and what's acceptable to have in the community and what's acceptable to only have in a highly industrial area.
Well, it seems as if you're still, again, focusing on a particular use within that zoning. So if you are focusing on a particular use, you'll change the use and say this use is allowed, this is not. Bottom line is, if you've got a zoning, you can't have something remain within a particular zoning and then later take it out of that zoning. If it's going to be an I-1,
Question?
whatever the case may be.
About her comment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that what Rachel's proposing is that we create a new zoning category that would have a more restrictive use than I-1. So we have those permissive uses, and she's saying that there's a lot of permissive uses in I-1. So she's saying to create a further category that would have less permissive use, and then that would allow us to, by code, restrict some of the use. And it wouldn't be, I don't think, targeted towards a specific industry or business, but I agree with her that we have seen like a lot of landscaping businesses and stuff come up, and they're agricultural and they want to go to I-1, but there is a lot of permissive uses there. While we don't have an issue with the landscaping business, we're afraid that if it's sold, it could be something much larger, and then the adjoining community would not be happy with it. So if we created a whole new zoning category, then we could, have less permissive uses. Is that helpful?
Yeah, I understand that. You're creating actually a whole new zoning district.
Right.
So,
Well, I'm actually I'm with Rachel in being interested in creating that because it seems like month after month we run into the same issue. So instead of doing that, I want to make it easier for residents to do what they need to do to operate their business and make it fit the surrounding community. So I think that's something we should definitely pursue in the future, Chairman.
and I think that's something that can certainly be explored.
That was actually kind of my point. I was going to try to explain what Rachel was saying, because clearly we weren't understanding each other. I understood what you were saying. And I don't know all the different zoning categories. My understanding is there is only an I-1. There is no I-2, I-3, I-4. And we do have 2s and 3s in the A's and in the R's. I just wanted them in the I's.
All right, Steve?
currently, how many violations are existing on this?
Currently, on the subject parcel before you, there are, I believe, two open. One was issued after the November 19th meeting, like was received about site work being done, so there were some trees removed on the property without site development permit. A violation has been issued. Our code enforcement division is working with the applicant to resolve that. It is my understanding that they were waiting for the map amendment to decide which route to go with how they're going to further develop the property. If they get the I-1, they can basically look at the whole property instead of just the specific area that they have to correct. The other one is with regards to non-permitted uses, again, kind of with the outdoor storage without having a principal structure on the property. And this was issued in October, but it also began back in July. So we've been working with the applicants to come forward with the map amendment request and the zoning action to come into compliance since July.
See what this reminds me of, because I've heard all the negatives already. But when, a couple months ago, we had a guy that just ignored the rules and expected us to change the rules to fix them so that he could do what he wants. But he didn't pay attention to the rules and he said, I didn't know. And remember that, guys? All right, this is the same type of scenario. This guy does whatever he wants and says, well, I'm sorry, I didn't know what I was doing. Right? That's what's going on. Again, that's happening here. And it's probably going to happen a lot of other times. But, you know, we can't let people just do whatever they want. And then, well, in a good world we could, but...
You want them to.
You know, I'm one of the people that don't like the rules. You know that. I don't believe in the rules. I think some of these rules are stupid. But the other side of it is, there are rules. And if we just let people say, well, they don't exist, so, you know, or I didn't know, or whatever, and then come here and then ask for immunity, basically, you know, that's kind of crazy. So, you know, to me, this is the same scenario as it was before, what we had. And we're, like I said, we'll have more. So I get what Rachel's talking about, changing, you know, creating a new zoning and all this. But what do you do with people that intentionally violate the rules?
Well, we are...
Because if I violate it, you're coming to my house or you're home, I butt to jail.
Well, we are complaint-based, so any complaints we receive at our office, we do investigate them. If we do find that they are in violation of the zoning ordinance, we do put them in violation. And then there's a process where we give them time to come into compliance. Sometimes it's a couple of weeks. Sometimes it might involve a little bit more time with site development, working with engineers, trying to get all the engineering with that process. And then if they still do not come into compliance, we have the option to go to adjudication or even court to bring them into compliance. So there is a process. It just a lot of times takes longer than overnight to rectify those situations.
Does anybody else have questions about this before we have the public speak? All right, so first up with us that signed up to speak on ZC 19059 is Heather Black. I'm sorry for the last name, so I'm going to be the first to tell you I'm terrible with last names, so I apologize.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
may I speak for just a moment?
Is it okay? Do you mind since I called you first? Okay, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, you can.
Yeah, just wait.
I'm Richard Kavanaugh, an attorney, offices at 111 North Ottawa Street. When I came in this morning, I advised staff that I was not representing the four models. However, I received a call from my partner, Thomas Osterberger, who is the attorney. He said that he has dictated a letter, addressed it to the staff, saying that the application is being withdrawn. So I'm here to say that if you want to cut this short, the application will be withdrawn today.
Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. Since you did come and sign up, I mean, it sounds like it's going to be a moot issue, but since you have a right to speak, I guess you can if you want, but it's dead, so
Is it official?
Once the letter is received.
Once we receive the letter, it would be official. But if the letter's not received right now, then...
So let me answer a clarification question really quick. So
For the county board.
Yeah, we have to table it.
what would our course of action be if we were just advised that? I mean, we would still have to vote on this, right?
If he's gonna submit a letter to withdraw it, I mean, if you had it right now, it's simply withdrawn, that's the end of the story, there's no need to have anybody speak at that point. He just put it on the record that he's gonna withdraw this one, so we can consider it withdrawn.
So it's officially, we can consider it officially, so State's Attorney's Office says it's officially withdrawn, so it's, according to our lawyer, officially done.
Is that on the record today?
That
Yes.
is on the record right up, Mr. Guzman, I'll let you repeat that with the microphone, I'm sorry.
Yeah, got a guy behind you recording it, it's in front of everybody here, and he just said it on the record.
May I
It's
ask-
withdrawn.
So,
May I ask one more question?
Sure. Go up to the microphone real
Thank
quick.
you. I'm sorry, thank you for letting me answer the question. I understand that it is officially withdrawn at this point. It's now almost 11 o'clock. The meeting started at 10:30. No notice was given. I understand that. We just received that notice. Now that it is withdrawn, no further meetings will be held on that, and they will have to restart the process. Is that my
Yeah,
understanding?
so from our standpoint, this is no longer a zoning case, so if they want to come back, they have to start all the way from the beginning.
Okay. And how, there are current violations, I think I sent an email to each of you, there are active violations on both properties. And in their application, they actually did not mark that it was to rectify any of those violations, because those violations were opened before the application. So now what happens with those? Because I know that was a concern for some of you speaking.
I'll let Stan handle that one.
So, in terms of the outstanding violations, they still will have to come into compliance with them. They would just have to proceed with a different venue than the Death Amendment. So, site development permits will still be required to replace the trees that they tore down and to improve the property. And then just a follow-up question with that answer. The first, not the first complaint, but the open complaint, a letter was dated 7/11/2019 from Will County Land Use Department, giving them 21 days from the date of this letter to maintain or to take corrective action. There was another one on this property that they gave them until December 6th to come into compliance, and then again December 21st, I believe it was, to maintain compliance with the sediment erosion control, sewage, things like that. So how will those be handled? Because it's my understanding that they're not notified.
Can I just say, at this point in time, this doesn't appear before this committee anymore, so maybe these questions could be addressed directly to staff.
Thank you.
You could make sure to get your contact.
Yes.
All right, okay.
Thank you.
Yes. All right, so.
I appreciate your time.
Yep, so.
Mr. Chairman.
I'm going to put it on the record. I have a concern when somebody is 6 months behind on rectifying something that we've let them know about. And I don't know our process. I apologize for that, but I hope we're finding the heck out of this guy for not following our rules in a timely fashion. I just want to put that on the record.
So, Mr. Guzman, do we need a motion just to remove this from the agenda, or we can just move on?
Just move on, it's
All right,